Right, now let's head over to Jerusalem, where we're going to be speaking to Mr. Mouad Khateb. He's a Palestinian activist. Mouad, thanks so much for joining me here on A News. Let's bring me up to speed now. We've heard recent news that Israeli forces have entered the mosque yet again, this time with rubber bullets. Is this, of course this is an overreaction, but the force is too great for such a thing. But tell me how it was today, especially after Friday prayers.
Thank you. So more importantly, it is not how they actually, broke inside Al-Aqsa mosque, but it's why. What is the reason? So before, they claimed that they would, attack people and assault them to drive them out of the Al-Aqsa yards so that the settlers can go through and, walk the ordinary, usual daily walk inside the Al-Aqsa mosque securely and safely. Okay, let's assume that it is their right. But today, those settlers didn't even enter. So what reason was there to attack the worshippers inside the Al-Aqsa mosque? This is only to, this reaffirms the fact that no matter what the situation is, whether the police are attacked by stone throwers, I mean, that is their claim, whether, they fear that the settlers might be assaulted by the worshippers, no matter the reason what the claim, the false claim is, they will always attack worshippers inside the Al-Aqsa mosque. And let me please correct another, misconception, which is rubber bullets. Those are not rubber bullets. Those are rubber-coated bullets. Those bullets can kill. They did kill. Many people throughout the week lost their eyesight. They lost their eyes because they were targeted intentionally to blind them. And that happened. Many people were killed. I myself got injured once by one of those rubber bullets, and I stayed at the hospital because of that. So this brutal force, when we witness it, we must ask ourselves why. Why does it happen? Why do Israeli forces every day, every morning, assault worshippers, desecrate the mosque, step on the carpets where we put our foreheads to worship Allah? Why do they do all that? It is very simple. Because they want to affirm their sovereignty, that this does not belong to Muslims. This does not belong to Palestinians or Arabs. This is ours, and we will control it soon, like we did in the Al-Ibrahimi Mosque in Al-Khalil in Hebron. So again, we must ask ourselves not how, but why. Why do they do it? Because that's their mentality. They want to rule by brutality.
I understand. Very bad indeed. Okay, now Mohammed Abbas, he's apparently called on the United States administration recently, or last night in fact, asking the United States to perhaps, kick in, join into this conversation and get peace back on the table. Do we know anything about that? Do we know how that panned out?
I mean, just a few days ago, Kamala Harris said in a statement in response to the I wouldn't call it violence. I would call it assault, brutality of Israeli forces against worshippers. In response to that, Kamala Harris said, our support stays strong, unconditional, unrestrained for Israel. She didn't even mention the word peace. They don't want peace, right? And that's why it saddens me to see Mahmoud Abbas and actually, all Palestinian politicians still, hoping that there's anything that can come from the international community. The international community is collaborative in this. They take responsibility in this. Time and time again, Israel has violated the international law. And what did they do? Nothing. And here I must recall the double standards with which, Palestinian issue is being dealt with in Ukraine. And, I'm sure you heard that like 100,000 times. If you carry a weapon against the Russian invaders, you are a freedom fighter. But if you just insist on praying in your own mosque, right, then you are a terrorist labeled by Israel and by the international community. So I wouldn't expect nothing from the international community. And, Mahmoud Abbas is weak. He is not, he has a lot of choices. He has a lot of strengths that he can utilize. He has the whole Palestinian people behind him if he decides to confront the occupation. But unfortunately, if we keep, chasing the international community, all that we are going to get is more martyrs, more occupation, and more hopelessness.
You're probably very right there, Mouad. But look, you're a young man, a young activist, a young believer in your country, in your rights. Don't you think that the way forward has to be dialogue? It can't be, surely shouldn't be war.
Certainly, but at the same time, you can't have a dialogue when you have no strength. Israel is an occupying power. It's not just another nation that we are, that we have a certain disagreements with. We are under occupation. They occupied us. They killed, half of our people. They, they drove out and expelled another significant part of the Palestinian population in 1948. So we're talking about an occupying power. Then how can you discuss? Can you rationalize with an occupying power? The truth is, and history teaches us, that you can't rationalize with it. Even speaking about, the human rights, which Israel claims to be a defender of. Israel claims to be the oasis of democracy in the Middle East. Well, where is that? Obviously, we can't talk, we can't have a dialogue based only on logic or ration or human rights. We must have points of strength that help us impose the reality on the ground. If we have no strength, if we are weakened, if the whole, international community is betraying us, basically, then, we can't really change anything on the ground. That's why I call, and that doesn't mean, obviously, military intervention from Turkey or from any other country, for that matter, but rather, when you have points of power, like economy, like education, military, then you can create pressure. Of course, diplomacy as well. Like, it saddens us, to be honest with you, when we saw last time how the Israeli President Herzog was received in Turkey. Like, it's okay to have relations, probably, because the political context of the international diplomacy is changing, and Turkey is obviously under a lot of pressure. So that move was probably, was unavoidable. Fine, we can understand that. But the way he was received, like kings, not as a murderer of children, which he is. So if we see, a change of diplomacy, if we see, strong stances and, a firm, statements from world leaders that this must stop, then it will stop. The same happened in many countries, including apartheid South Africa. So why did it stop there and it didn't stop here? Because there is no enough pressure. Once that pressure is on, I promise you, things will change tomorrow. Israel changes sometimes its policy in response to protests inside Palestine by unarmed civilians, just facing bullets with their bare chests. So, that teaches us that a stronger response would definitely guarantee a better change on the ground.
Indeed. Let's hope that the international community do, in fact, weigh in on this once and for all. Mouad, the youth, you're a young man, the youth of the country that you live in, Palestinians today. Last year when we saw the war, we heard a lot about marches and peace walks and things of that nature. Does that still continue today, where people are demonstrating?
Yeah, certainly. But the thing is that those peaceful protests are met with bloody violence. People get imprisoned, people get attacked. I'm telling you, like last week, one was injured in the skull and he's currently hospitalized, and there's no hope that he might survive. I must mention also the so-called administrative detention. Many youths from Israel, right, who have Israeli passports, who have Israeli nationalities, but who are Palestinians because we live in the occupied territories, were detained under administrative detention just last week. And if you don't know what that is, administrative detention is when you are imprisoned without any trial, without any charges laid against you. They just, go to prison, and they are not convicted. So the lawyers obviously cannot defend you because they don't even know what you are being prosecuted for. So one from Al-Fahim, one from Haifa, and many others are currently being detained under administrative detention. So that is like, a threat that if you even participate or try to organize a protest, then you can go to prison in the oasis of democracy. So that honestly did affect the public mobilization on the street, but we never lost the spirit, and we will never lose the spirit. Actually, the more violence Israel, the more violence that our protests are met with, the more resistance we will continue to offer, because it's our land, it's our mosque, they are our holy places, and it's our homeland. We must protect it with all that we have.
Indeed, Mouad. I really thank you for joining me here in these troubled times. Really a pleasure talking to you. Stay safe, stay well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.